Hey, everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with a follow-up interview with the CEO of RCAT Holdings, Jeff Thompson. Jeff, good morning, and thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Good morning to you too.
So a lot has happened since the first time we met and did our interview, and I thought there was some really relevant stuff that I felt as though it would be good to have you back on and kind of talk about the things that have been, executed and the new opportunities that lay in front of you, right? So why don't we just kind of hop right into it, and maybe you can share with us the things that you're excited about at this particular point in time.
Sure. That was a great interview last time. Thanks for doing that. It's got a lot of information in it. So if anyone has any questions, please go back and rewatch the first lengthy interview. But the stuff that's really exciting to me, I'll get to in a second. But let me start with some housekeeping in some of our filings and things of that nature. So if you look at the SEC.gov, you'll see that we filed an S8 and an S3, and I'll talk a little bit about our annual shareholder meeting. The S8 and the S3 are basically just us registering shares for founders so that we can actually have our shares deposited into an account and possibly leverage those you could leverage our own shares to actually pay taxes instead of selling shares. You can't do that if your shares aren't registered. But when you file an S3, it has these big, huge words that say selling shareholders, and it scares the shit out of everybody. But that's the only way you can get them registered, by filing that S3 that says selling shareholders. We are not selling shareholders. I'm actually in a 90-day lockup that started April 29th, and I bought a little under $50,000 worth of RCAT right before my lockup of 90 days for our 10K. So we're blocked for 90 days, not being able to buy. Otherwise, I'd be buying right now. That's for darn sure. But in the meantime, in this market, so we're doing a lot of housekeeping to put all this stuff out that scares people on the SEC.gov. And the S8 is basically just registering some stock options plans and things of that nature. So no one's selling shares. Almost everybody on the board and in upper management has been buying shares while we're allowed to by our insider buying plan. So there's nothing to fear with our S3 and our S8. Those are actually good things for the employees to be able to, because some people have had to sell some shares or lose some shares they got awarded to pay taxes as they get their plan. And if I can borrow against my shares because they're now registered in a traditional account, I don't have to sell those shares, which nobody wants to sell their shares. So this is actually a good thing for shareholders, for us to get these shares registered for the founders. So that's the S8 and the S3. Our annual shareholder meeting. So we actually, as a board, made a decision to be late with our shareholder meeting because if we did it when we were supposed to, we had a window where, because we have a weird year end, we would have missed it by 3 days. So we decided to postpone the annual shareholder for 3 months to when it would have been required by the NASDAQ, because our 10K would not have been filed yet. So you'd have this large proxy with a 10K that was from last August. So the shareholders would have had crappy, old, dated, unaudited information to make decisions. So, we called the NASDAQ and said, hey, look, we're gonna delay it. We know that we'll get a letter from you the day after. They said, yeah, but you got plenty of time to cure it. This happens all the time if you look at it. So now our meeting is going to be in late September. Obviously, our 10K is due by the end of July. So we'll have a brand new 10K that's audited and for the proxy and everything. So our annual shareholder meeting will cure everything that that has people worried about our annual shareholder meeting. So that's kind of the housekeeping on all our filings. And then to just reiterate, because I've been on the road talking to tons of investors, been at a lot of investor conferences for microcap companies and small cap companies, some of the biggest conferences of the year. And, it's exciting that we're all back in person again at these conferences, but some people just are literally walking around with their eyes glazed over, knowing that they might have to raise money, and this market is only going to get worse, and it continues to get worse. But the good news is that RCAT does not need cash. We are not looking to do any offerings because we don't need to. And what we're doing right now is what I mentioned on the last interview, is literally have our heads down, building out the facility in Salt Lake City, getting that manufacturing line up and running and scaling as quickly as possible. And that's exactly what
Jeff, how far along are you in that process of the expansion? Is that nearly completed?
Yeah, so we're in our third month of production in the new production line. It started in April, which when you start a production line, you don't do huge numbers that first month. You make sure everything's working properly. And we have grown I know it's been going up like 50% a month, but that's going to continue to grow until about September, which will switch from the manufacturing process that we have now. We'll actually shut down the production line for a short period of time, and then retune it from all the stuff that we found in this pre-mass production stage, and fix all the things that we found out in these 4 or 5 months. Adding extra testing that automates more things. The goal is to automate more and more things. The good news is our yields coming off the production line have been fantastic. The birds that are coming out, the golden eagles that we're shipping off to the Ukraine, have been incredible. They're flying great. And they're much better than when our engineers were doing it. No offense for our engineers, but they design stuff. Now we actually have a factory producing drones the way they're supposed to be produced. So things are going great in the production line. The teal team has done an incredible job. And so the next phase of where we're heading is mass production, which is going to come in the fall. And that's when the numbers are going to accelerate very dramatically to meet the needs. And as I've stated many, many times, every drone that we make, we're going to sell. So we are just trying to make as many drones as we can because we know the market is there. So things are going really well with that. And then in the meantime, since we last spoke, we were talking about swarm and things of that nature. And I kind of was a little evasive about your question and said that we'll launch something. And we did. We said we were going to do it, and we did. And we launched the 4-ship product, which is 4 birds being flown by 1 pilot. And the technology is incredible. We recently demoed it for the Air Force at Emerald Warrior. We kept our birds in the air for almost 4 hours straight. So we took the 4-ship, and with the 4-ship plus, you get actually 2 extra birds. So what we've literally solved the biggest issue in the entire drone industry for Class 1 drones, which is battery life. We have typically around a 30-minute battery life, and we can have an extension time up to 50 minutes. But that doesn't compare to some of the Class 2 and Class 3 birds that can be up there for 16 to 20 hours. Although they're way up, so they don't have the same accuracy that we have, being 30 or 40 yards above a enemy tank. So with the 4-ship product, we've solved this big problem. So what we do is And basically with a tablet, we say, okay, there's a target, go assess that target. When it's a target, you swipe and give it an intent. The 4 birds will go find that target, surround it, and look inward. And then what we'll do is we'll take 2 fresh birds and bring it into that formation, bring down 2 birds. The batteries are swapped out, and we were able to stay in the air for the entire demonstration period of 4 hours. And it's never been done before. So the battery life situation is very interesting. And then during this demonstration, they would be like, okay, now you go from that's a target, that's an asset, go protect that asset. So now you switch and they move to a different target, which is an asset, and they surround that asset. Now they're looking outward because they're protecting that asset. We have all these formations that are pre-programmed. Do a horizontal wall in front of the asset, do a vertical wall near the asset. There's all sorts of things that we can do. So when you start thinking about all these things that a single operator can do with the situational awareness of 360 degrees and 4 live feeds coming in, they can also target, if they can automatically find an asset, or someone leaves a building that you're monitoring, you can chase that target automatically. It identifies it, just chases it. You can take 2 drones out of the formation and they go take care of that while the other 2 come in. So it's really exciting stuff. And we also have capabilities to have 2 4-ships running simultaneously, where say you are watching a target, you're looking at this building and someone runs out the back and 2 of your drones take off to chase that target. You can swipe and say, all right, I got to go do some active stuff here. So I'm going to be really flying these drones, just like the Predator drones you see on TV in these movies. You just swipe it to the other pilot and they can help monitor these drones while you're chasing or doing something that's takes active capabilities from the pilot. So the technology that we've just brought to the industry is game changing. It's one of the first times ever that a US company has built a product that's much better than a Chinese drone company. So we're typically chasing them, and this is the first time that we jumped ahead of everybody.
So is this something that is proprietary to you, Jeff? I mean, do you have, like, patent protection on that, or intellectual property protection? I mean,
yeah. So what we've done is we've done a partnership with Autonodyne. And we've been working with them for quite some time. We do quite a few demonstrations together for different military demos. We basically have 3 teams with 4 ships flying around the entire globe, and I think they're booked through August. For everybody wants to see this product in person because nobody believes it, and when they see it, the response is incredible.
Okay, so I don't know that I got my clarity on that, but I mean, is this something that anybody else would be able to do, or is this I mean, by working with that company or partnering with that company, is that something that?
Oh, we have an exclusive relationship with them right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so and we've been working with these guys for a couple of years. They're a great team up in Boston. Steve Jacobson, actually known as Jake, and the whole team up there are fantastic. We've been doing lots of stuff together with those guys, and we have a great partnership with them. So what you see happening in this industry right now is people have some great software capabilities, and they might not own a bird to put this on to demonstrate their product. And then some people have the capabilities through having a system that's out there and a platform that's deployable. And if you look at it like the recent Shield AI, they have the Martin UAVS VBAT, but they also have the Shield AI software, and they just did a huge raise at a very high valuation. But I think these combinations of software on top of a hardware platform, which we've been saying for quite some time, is that we can extend our margins by selling the 4-ship product, because now it comes with software.
And that's something that we highlighted in the last interview, right? I mean, that was what we talked about, was the fact that you it seems as though you've got really the whole hardware component portion of the business in hand, right? I mean, you've got all those pieces together with the consolidation that you've done, and now it was the software that you had been actively, I think you said you've pretty much talked to every software company in the US, right? And it wasn't,
and some that are not in the US.
What's that?
And some that are not in the US. Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
And it was at that time, valuations, or the perceived valuations that these companies had of themselves was kind of unrealistic, right? So
I think valuations that are unrealistic have changed dramatically, not only since when we spoke in the last 2 weeks. I think everyone's got some more realistic expectations. But having our special sauce right now, believe it or not, I'm kind of going to do a little bit of a reverse on this, is having a manufacturing capability up and running as this war in Ukraine has hit has become a huge advantage to all the people that are just doing developmental contracts. To build producing drones and manufacturing drones is hard. I think it's much harder than actually designing them, it's all like it all has to come together. But if you don't have manufacturing capabilities, then it's all for naught. I mean, you got to be able to sell the drones that you're telling everyone that you can make. And now we're in that stage. We're one of the only U.S. companies making a military style drone right now that is not a consumer drone that's kind of being tweaked to try to meet the military's needs. This was designed from the ground up to be in the dust, in the rain, have thermal. We've got one of the best payloads in the industry. And again, we have, arms that can be replaced in the field. This was built for the military. This was not built for, doing aerobics in your yard, having a drone chase you around. So it's pretty exciting that we have this manufacturing capability.
And now you have this software component that is also a huge differentiator, right? So you've got two really profound things I think that are happening. And if we go back to the original, and this is why I wanted to do the interview with RCAT, because I had been looking for what I felt would be the potential dominant leader in the drone space within the US, right? And I didn't see it for the longest time. It was a very fragmented bunch of little companies that nobody was making any money, and the real big player was the China DJI or whatever it was. But now things have changed dramatically because of what has happened with Russia and Ukraine, and the demand for US made drones is skyrocketing, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Everybody. So, now that all these Chinese drones are banned, and we saw what happened when people were trying to use Chinese drones in the Ukraine, they were taking their lives into their hands because the Russians knew where they were, and they could get hit by a missile. And I know there's a great video not a great video, but there's a video which is scary as all hell, where a person was using a DJI drone, and within 30 seconds, a missile came in. Fortunately, it missed by not so far, but they missed, and the person survived. Everyone realizes, even if you can try to change the code on I would be petrified to use a DJI drone in Ukraine. You're literally putting your life in your hands. So I would, and what's interesting is we're doing more and more with Ukraine. We've been told there's only 3 drones they're buying, and we're one of them. And they're not Chinese drones. So we went, with all the drones that are being built in the world, we went from no one knew the heck we are to being one of the top 3 drone companies.
So, I mean, and that was what I loved about this story, was that, so you were very proactive. I mean, so just to recap real quickly, you are set on cash. How much do you have sit in cash right now, Jeff?
Yes, as we reported last Q, we had 56 million in cash. Our burn was 2.5 million for that quarter. But again, just to put some goalposts around that, almost all of our burns coming from Teal drones, because we ramped up engineering, we ramped up all the things to build the factory. We hired a bunch of people to actually run the production line. So our last Q showed us a great demonstration of a fully loaded cost structure for teal drones without any revenue, with zero revenue. Now that production's up and running, the burn, that 2.5 million, even if it was 2.5 million with $56 million in the bank for the quarter, how many quarters is that, right? So, but that burn is going to be coming down dramatically every month. So we're pretty excited
as your production line increases, as your yield increases, right? I mean, that burn's going to come down
every month. I mean, yeah, just like, okay, so just, let's not talk about the other three subsidiaries right now. So you had 2.5 million in burn and you have zero revenue. Then the next quarter you have 2.5 million in burn, and say you're shipping 75 drones a month. That's almost $1 million a month. So you're quickly getting that burn down as you ramp up the manufacturing in the factory in Salt Lake City. So I'm not saying that the burn is going to be zero. It's not going to be. We're going to keep investing because this is literally a once in a lifetime opportunity in the drone industry. So we are ramping production, scaling the business, but that burn is going to come down dramatically. So we do not need money. You're not going to see us do an offering. Secondly, you're going to start to see the revenue ramp.
Right. And that is all about where you positioned yourselves. I mean, you decided to double the size of the capacity of manufacturing, right? I mean, that you doubled the size of the building. You had 4,000 chipsets on the shelf, right?
Yeah, those were all decisions we made almost a year ago because of supply chain. And actually, Dr. Evans, our COO, is the one that really pushed us really hard as a management team and to get board approval to make a huge bet that there's going to be this type of demand now, which he foresaw, last year. And we made that bet, and now we have the chips. We don't have to worry about supply chain. We have the cash. We have production up and running. We have demand like we've never seen before. So I've never been in a business this well positioned.
And then on top of that, you have a whole new product offering that is unique to the entire industry. I mean, there are a bunch of really, really positive things here. The stock has actually held up pretty well, even though the overall markets lately have been pretty treacherous, right? Like you said earlier, at these conferences, these guys walking around, look, I've met with guys that look like they have not slept in weeks. I mean,
if you're a micro cap company right now and you need capital, you're dead man walking. So you're stressed as all get out. So, a year ago when we raised money at $4.50, everyone hated us, and it's like, people just forget I'm the largest shareholder. I wrote a lot of checks to get this company up and running. So I'm not going to do something stupid that's going to hurt my almost 13 million shares. But now we've got great management team. Our teams that we acquired have great management teams. We spent the last year, mostly Dr. Evans, fixing these teams up and getting them ready to scale. And now we're here. We're well capitalized, and the market's coming to us. And with the 4-ship product, we keep getting all sorts of people keep coming to us with all sorts of ways that they can use that product. So if you think about any situation, as George Matou said, it's like when we, over a year ago, it wasn't quite a year ago, but last year when we were working on the 4-ship and we did the first live swarm way ahead of everybody else. A lot of people think that those light shows are swarms. They're not swarms. And so when we actually saw a live swarm in person, the whole team, we all went back to the Teal factory. We were like, and then had dinner that night. I was like, why would you ever use one drone when you can use 4? So it really changed our mindset because if you got 4, you can get a job that could take a half hour done in 10 minutes or less,
right.
You can do so much more. And just think if you show up to a police situation where there's a hostage situation where typically, like in LA, there's one helicopter flying around trying to figure out how to get an angle on that. You push a button, you got 4 ships in the air, you get 360 degrees. You can see every window and door on all 4 sides. Plus you have thermal, so you can see if people are coming in near the windows and doors. You have great situational awareness. We're going to save lives with this product. Actually going to save lives. So, and it's going to protect the people that are trying to fix the situation. So think of this when you go to Border Patrol, and we have that $90 million Border Patrol contract that, we're looking to try to fill up next, as they love this product. So
so let's talk about, and that's where this battery life is a really key component, right? Because you got a 12-hour hostage situation, but you can take 2 of the birds and replace them, and 2 of the birds and replace them, keep eyes on that thing the whole time. That's a big deal, right?
Yeah, well, theoretically, we can fly for infinite time frames now. It's basically just taking 2 birds in, 2 birds out in formation, and we've proven it. We're demoing this capability every week, and all over the world right now. It literally changes everything on the way Class 1 drones can be used.
No, this is really, really, really exciting. The other thing I just want to bring up quickly, and I know you probably can't say anything about it because you don't have any news, but you are in that, trying to get that short range reconnaissance tranche 2. You're down to one other, it's you and one other player, right? You got a 50-50 shot at getting this. I'm not going to make any claims, but I just would.
Well, let me just say this. So, we have nothing new to report on tranche 2, other than we have, I think, at least every other week we meet with the Army to review all the features that they want for tranche 2. A lot of people, I don't want to talk about who the other person is, but right. I can tell you it's not Skydio, but I don't want, if the other company hasn't made any announcements, I don't want to get in the middle of their business. We all work together. There's a lot of cooperation in this industry. I don't want to, I'll let the other folks talk about where they are. But I believe that there's, as we've seen, as we've been dealing with Ukraine, there's only 2 people that actually have real scaled manufacturing. That is us and Skydio. Skydio makes a great drone. They're backed by Andreessen Horowitz, but they did not receive tranche 2. So we are, we're excited that we have manufacturing capabilities. So if we win tranche 2, which could be, the goalposts are pretty wide. We hear it's anywhere from 75 to 200 million. And there's been a lot more excitement about tranche 2 in size. Tranche 1 ended up being 100 million. And that was 2 years ago, before Ukraine, where, one of the things that the Ukraine war has demonstrated is that the Golden Eagle, which is a Class 1 drone, is crucial in warfare now. It's, I hate, we have a war, so we're now becoming battle tested. No one likes a war, but this war has demonstrated that small, easy to deploy drones are gonna be in the mix from now on, and they're very, very important and can do things that drones that are way up in the sky cannot do because of accuracy. So if you look at a satellite, we're 500 times more accurate than a satellite to give GPS coordinates. And then you go, okay, 3 miles up. So, you look at that calculation, we're going to be 20 to 30 yards above a target, whether it's munitions or a tank or some asset that we want to get rid of. Our GPS coordinates are going to be the best out there. So if you're sending out a switchblade from AeroVironment and you don't want to waste it, you want the best coordinates you can get. So small Class 1 drones are going to be very important in warfare going forward. Hopefully there's not going to be much more warfare, but everyone's budgets are getting prepared as, everyone says they're going to expand this war or go to other countries. So every border country in Europe is upping their budgets and wants to be prepared and not be stuck and not, they want thousands of these drones on the shelf in case something does happen, instead of scrambling like everybody's doing right now to get Teal drones.
Right. And that was one of the things that you had highlighted last time, was because and when we did the interview, it was pretty fresh with the whole Russia-Ukraine thing, and all the surrounding countries were reaching out. You had RFPs coming in, you were telling me basically like 24/7, right?
Yeah, this even if this war stops tomorrow, which I hope it does, everyone's going to kind of reassess their drone capabilities. And we now know that Class 1 drones are going to be crucial in every military's going forward budgets.
Right. And that just, as you said, I mean, if you do get this tranche 2, it just validates your product, right? It validates
I think we're already validated. We are flying above Ukraine right now and getting great feedback.
Right. Which is going to just strengthen the product, strengthen the brand, right?
Yep.
All right. So real quickly, just talk about the stock. I mean, I was going to bring up the fact, because I had seen the insider buys. That is something that is, important to me to see. And I have been seeing it very consistently, by the way. I understand the S3 and I understand the AKs, and I understand how the retail guys panic when they see an S3 immediately. But a lot of companies have, as just a housekeeping, they have to file an S3 just so that in case there is a need for whatever reason, it's good practice to have shares on an S3, right? I mean,
we actually have $40 million available on our original S3 that we did last year. The S3 that we just filed was not to sell any shares or go to the market at all. We have a $100 million shelf that we took down 60 last year. We could have taken down 100, but we were like, no, that's too much dilution. So we have plenty of money in the bank right now. We are not looking to do any financing with that extra 40. Our goal is to just grow the company as quickly as possible, keep our powder dry, and just build this manufacturing capability, continue to improve the product, get to tranche 2.
Jeff, is there a timeline or an expected timeline on when that tranche 2 could be announced?
Yeah, I think tranche 2, and it always moves. So I think tranche 2 is supposed to be awarded around March of April of next year.
Okay.
But that it always moves a little bit. But I don't know if it will, because last time there was 5 prototype contracts 2.5 years ago, actually now, and they awarded 1 production contract. This time, last September, they told us it was 37 companies that demonstrated the birds at Fort Benning in Georgia. They said they're going to bring it down to 2. And then we thought they were going to end up doing 4, but they kept it to 2. They stuck to it. And now, only one of those people will win that. One of the 2 players can win that. And, the DIU has been doing an incredible job, really keeping to the timeline. I think the DIU program is maturing, and, their goal is to get technology into the DOD before it gets old and antiquated, like a lot of long processes can do. And they're just doing an incredible job. So we're really excited about how they're keeping to the timelines. They're doing some really good things in the industry to bring to the military. But yeah, that's not going to be till next year. And
is the swarm thing? Could that sway the tranche 2 thing? I mean, would that be something that would be additional that you could provide on your contract?
I mean, we're always going to show. Because the Golden Eagle version 1.0 can do swarm already, tranche 2 is basically building, version 2 with all the improvements that they're requesting from Tranche 1, which is basically the Golden Eagle 1. And the Golden Eagle 1 already does swarm. So we're going to show up with a better bird and a battle-tested bird that's unusual for the Army. So we will be battle-tested. And we're going to be having a proven swarm, or as we've been saying internally, is the one-to-many drones. So one pilot, many drones, which breaks the one-to-one pilot ratio, which crushes any business model or crushes any logistics if you're out there on a battlefield. So right. I've got 4 drones. I mean, why would I launch one when I can launch 4?
Yep.
And it's literally becomes that mindset. Once you're dealing with a swarm all the time, I literally can't think of any. If I can do 4, why would I ever do 1? It's like once you see this technology work, and you have the capability to launch 4 drones, you're always going to launch 4 drones.
Right. No, I mean that's so it's another competitive advantage. I mean, there's just you're positioned extremely well. Just a quick question: are you continually doing R&D and coming up with new, or looking at new use cases or new software components to add? I mean, with that software component, that swarm capability, is that like a recurring revenue model, or is that come with the drone and that's it?
So there's different ways to work with this. So one of the biggest problems is the Department of Defense hates SaaS models. So what we do is basically, when you're pricing the software capabilities with the Golden Eagle, is we price it in because they don't like to give you monthly checks.
Oh, right.
It's just not the way they do business. So a lot of drone companies have tried to shoehorn SaaS models into the DoD, and they basically just reject it. So in the Department of Defense, with the United States at least, we are not going to be doing a SaaS model. It's just not going to be the way that they're going to buy our products. We're also working with tons of other NATO countries right now. And we'll see if some of them are not as robust financially as the US government. So doing a monthly thing could be possible there. But the bottom line is, we just want people to buy the Golden Eagle with our software on it, to give them the capabilities. We want to become the platform of all federal dollars, all state dollars, and then the same equivalents in all the NATO countries of our federal and state dollars, because everyone doesn't want Chinese drones. Right.
Okay. All right. I think this is a pretty good. I don't want to turn this into another marathon interview. Okay. So unless there's anything that you really you feel as though we might have missed or should highlight, I think, this is a pretty good recap, man. I think you got a lot of exciting stuff going on. I think that just looking at the technicals, as I said, as the market has been really weak, this has actually held up really well. You can see that it's holding this area right here that was resistance, and now it's acting as support. So, $1.50, I think, is a very key area. If it closes below $1.50, that could be problematic short term for the stock, but I would welcome that as an opportunity to add. I mean, I'm not telling anybody to buy the stock. That's up to you. Do the research. That's not what I do. I just try to present a very compelling opportunity. And there is a huge compelling opportunity here, in my opinion. And I think these levels that it sits at are a gift. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. If I wasn't locked up right now, I'd be buying a ton of it.
All right, Jeff, I appreciate you taking the time, man. And I look forward to getting a follow-up, in the near future. Hey there, all you stock market junkies. Thanks for tuning in to yet another CEO follow-up interview here at Alpha Wolf Trading. Today we had Jeff Thompson, CEO of RCAT Holdings, ticker symbol RCAT. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. Why not give us a share? And while you're at it, how about giving us a follow? Until next time, stay safe, Alpha Wolf Trading wishes you the very best of success.